Hey guys, this is a little bit of an experiment. I've got what passes for a script in front of me. You can see it. I've got Anki up. I'm going to see how this goes. And I'm going to share what kind of came out of my prep. Um, you can read this if you want. I'll come back to it later. It might actually be funny if I put it together correctly. So this is the end of week 1 of my 57th year. I'm still 56. COVID-19 sucks. We are sheltering at home, or as it got passed to me, uh, helter shelter. And I'm realizing just how lucky I am that I have a job that I've been working from home for 3 years. I work in my basement. I am 70 miles from the nearest facility and 300 miles away from my nearest coworker. I'm set up. We are not going out. We're able to stay here. That doesn't mean it's stress-free, but I can't imagine what it's like for somebody who doesn't have a job right now. Somebody who does have a job, but I can't imagine what it's like right now, and I'm just hopeful that things will come together. We're in this for the long haul. We're looking at July or August before things start to return to something resembling normal. But that could be July or August of next year. But this isn't a video about COVID. This is a week 1 update. And what I got really clear on is I'm not prepared to give weekly updates. And that's actually one of the reasons for giving weekly updates. If you're reading this, I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. And I learned a lot of valuable skills in the Marine Corps. So many valuable skills. I've got 4 right here. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our training. I'm missing a space. Inspect, adapt, and overcome. If it's stupid but it works, it's still stupid, and it still works. And finally, know your end goal and always be moving forward towards it. And it's that last one. I am the definition of a lifelong learner, and I don't know how not to be a lifelong learner. Sometimes it's frustrating, like relaxing, I don't necessarily know how to do, but lower middle, right now, everybody's life, I don't care if you're poor, middle class, upper middle class, probably even rich. Everybody is running as hard and as fast as they can just to stay where they are. And, I don't know what it takes to level up in this game. I know what I'm doing to level up. And I'm also present to, I've got 500 years worth of projects and likely only 20 years to really get them done, maybe 30. If I'm lucky, I've got another 50 years to get projects done. That'd be 106. That would be cool. But right now, how do I want to say this? So I don't have a clear idea of what my goals are right now. So the big goals. My 4-year degree. Keep and grow in my job. That grow is actually new. Like, up until 6 months ago, it was just survive my job and don't get fired. I'm in the process of moving over to a group where I'm actually getting to grow and bring value. I'm really stoked about that. The other one, I worked with and for great and amazing people. Just the situation, a lot of things conspiring to make that just not a great spot for me. So let's see. Degree, job, family. Family's huge in there, and it really needs to be family, job, degree, algorithms course. that I'm producing. One of my mentors right now is going through some really hard times. And apparently in the coding space, a lot of people are having their relationships go poof, bye-bye. I've had my share of them over the years. I get really, really lucky. And there's a lot of luck, which is just not dying and staying with it and figuring it out. It goes back to inspect, adapt, and overcome. And that's another reason for these videos. I've got so much stuff going on in my head that to distill it, I don't know how to break apart this giant interlocking cube and just pull out the one piece so that one piece by itself has value. Because in my mind, a lot of times breaking down the one piece, it's kind of like pulling out a single instrument from a symphony and only listening to the single instrument. And you have to master that single instrument, but at the same time, without the rest of the orchestra, without all the other moving pieces, you can't hear the entire song. And the song is what I want to transmit. Maybe it's the height of arrogance that I have something that is valuable for other people to learn. If it is, then, a year from now I will have, no subscribers. But it doesn't matter. Because what matters is me going through this crucible of, showing up at least once a week. I'd like to make it more often, but at least once a week, show up and let you know where I am and where I'm going, and share the things I've noticed this week that make up part of who I am. I'm one of these annoying guys that collects quotes. They're useful. Apparently they sound pompous as hell. I don't know, I don't care. To me, and to other people who get them, oh God, now I'm calling you an idiot. I apologize. When a quote makes sense, it distills a lot of experiences into the single tone of a bell. It's like, oh, that distills it, that makes it make sense. We do not rise to the occasion, we fall to the level of our training. That's a 1 hour talk. What does that mean? And more importantly, what does that not mean? Inspect, adapt, and overcome. What does that mean? And more importantly, what does it not mean? If it's stupid and it works, it's still stupid and it still works. What all does that mean? What are the nuances there? What does it mean and what does it not mean? And finally, know your end goal and always be moving towards it. To me, that one seems pretty simple. It's probably one of the ones that's most relatable to people. It's like, know where your end goal. How is that phrased? Fanaticism is redoubling your efforts after your goal has been lost. After your intended goal has been lost. I do not have a degree right now because reasons, and it makes sense for me to get one. I have a family. I've got a wife. We're coming up on our 17th anniversary. Those of you who have been married for 17 years, I don't know, if you're like me, it's like, what? How did that happen? That just happened a couple of days ago. It surprises me. Every time we have an anniversary, it's like, has it been that long? So in some ways, I am the epitome of luck. But that luck comes from crawling over broken glass for the better part of my life. But it's been making sure that every time, every obstacle I get over, every obstacle I get past, I take the time to learn the useful lessons out of that experience and move forward. I've got a few things here about, quote unquote, bad luck. There's a lot more than this, going back and reading some Green Lanterns, just like, oh, those things were horrible. I loved them at the time, still do. And that whole thing, I mean, the fact that the Marine Corps has the word Corps in it, I only realized a few years ago. It's like, good Lord, my love of the Green Lantern Corps actually probably sensitized me to, there's a Corps, there's a body of people who are committed to one goal. Let me go. I'm in. And oh my God, I hated those 4 years. I was so happy to be out. I was ready to be out after the end of my first years. Like, this is good. I've learned a lot. I'm done. And then I got out into the fleet and I learned a lot more. I met one of my first mentors who I resented. He became, the stand-in for my dad. And who at the time I hated. The worst part was I didn't even know it. So the intent of this video was to look at what I wanted to get done today, which, step one is record and publish this video. I may just let it run. I don't know how many minutes we're in. I don't care. Committing code to GitHub. Let's see if I can bring that up. It's just one of those things where it's like, what are your daily practices? I'm bringing this over. So, okay, so here's GitHub. It's a code repository. It's a version control system. You either know what it is or you don't. It's okay if you don't. But 2013, I checked in once. 2014, I checked in twice. 15, a few more times. 16, a few less times. 17, a few more times. 18, and then last July, I started really working on my craft. All this time, I've self-identified as a developer, but I wasn't writing in code, and I wasn't really measuring it. This is the last year. Since July, I have missed some days. Checking in today will give me 9 weeks in a row. And to a certain extent, this is pure ego. There's 1 or 2 of those days where I got up, I grabbed a file, I made a couple of changes, and I checked it in. And even with that low bar, there's still holes in here where it's like, you did not remember. For me, this is more about the practice than it is about the outcome. It's putting one foot after the other. Next is my Anki study. If you are having to remember things, where'd my video go? Did I lose? No, I'm still there. Oh, okay. I'm still being superimposed over this. If you have stuff you want to learn, Anki is an amazing tool. I'm working on my pre-calculus right now, and if I click study, it's like the square root of -24. So I comes out, 4 comes out as 2, and that makes this 4i square root of 6. Okay, I got the answer. And now I ignore it for the next 3 days. This is the quadratic equation. This one has kicked my tail for decades. b minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over, I believe it's 2a. Let's find out. It is 2a, so I give myself 3 days. And the standard form of a polynomial is, I think it's ax squared bx plus c equals 0. So, okay, and this actually is a polynomial in standard form. A polynomial is in standard form when its term of highest degree is first, its term of second highest degree is second, blah, blah, blah. So here's the x squared, x, and x cubed, and 3. The main point of this is not to show you these, it's not to show you my cards. The main point of this is that I've taken, and there's tons of videos on Anki and how to use Anki. Gabe Weiner's Fluent Forever has been dubbed by one wonk as an Anki handbook. There's a lot to it. In some ways there's a lot to it, and in other ways there's not much to it. You take a tiny, tiny piece of knowledge and you put it in the form of a card, and then you see it in a spaced repetition way such that every time you get it right, it's just a little further down the road before you'll see it again. 10 minutes, 1 day, 3 days, 8 days, 2 months. And so going back to here, 30 minutes of Anki study. I got 2 cards in 40 seconds, so if I get 30 minutes in, I should be able to at least get through 60 cards, maybe 70, maybe 100, who knows. 2 hours of math study, that would be, let me bring this over, Khan Academy. Where I go to my missions, and missions are going away, they're changing things up, but I'm working on pre-calculus. In order to have my degree be a computer science degree, I have to pass pre-course, pre-calculus. Now unfortunately, my math is not quite ready for pre-calculus. I've got, Algebra 1, basic geometry, and trigonometry are all not quite there. So I need to go through and make sure I've got this thing mastered. It's the little things way back in basic addition and basic multiplication that will really mess you up. And if you don't know that you've got your foundation straight, well, if I don't, I make a lot of blanket statements. That means for me, if it proves to be true for you, that's great and awesome. And then I need to record, process, and can 3 algorithm videos. I've got the solutions done, I just need to record them, and then I need to do a small handful of things to edit, process, make sure all the artifacts are in place, and go. Now on top of this, what I don't have is clear measurable goals on how to be a great dad and how to be a great husband. My amazing wife and I have already had one conversation today that was more than a little stressful and probably looked a lot like a fight, felt like one. And that really comes back to COVID. It's like, I don't believe there are any marriages that are stress-free, because humans are incredibly different. You get them in large numbers and they're all the same. They're idiots. And that's another topic. This is the video for today. It's a cluster. But this is something for me to, at the end of the year, to really go back and look at and see where I am. I do have some clear things I want to get done. Who knows, I may put one out tomorrow. This may begin to be my daily check-in with myself, that I have with you. You know, one of the things that I'm also doing, I don't know if I really want to share this, but what the heck. You know, my weight is something that I've worked on all of my life. You know, I started at 260 back in August. I was down around 200 and somewhere in the middle of my 53rd year. But 250 is where I've been for the most part in the last 20 years. And prior to that, it was between 220 and 230 with bouts up to 240. You know, and I got out of the Marine Corps at 180 pounds. So, you know, this is something that I'm working on. And there's a lot of, you know, the 1 pound a week, the 2 pound a week, the 3 pound a week. I was tracking 2 pounds a week for a while, and then it took off to the side. Still going down. But this is one of those side projects that I'm just working on a regular basis. I've got a lot of things going on just to maintain where I am. You know, 'cause, you know, the thing with the weight that sucks is that I could put on 20 pounds in a month easy. That would be like incredibly easy. Yeah, 20 pounds in a month, I think I can do that. I don't want to. I'm just saying I could. So this is me semi-scripted. Way too much going on in my brain. And this video is the before video. Thanks for being here, family. I appreciate you all. I appreciate, you know, the comments that I get. You know, thanks.